Hey guys, and welcome back to another Cultured Boys discussion. I'm Pepe and I'm joined by Nathan, and today we're talking about another anime! Yeah!
Hey.
And this week we're talking about Your Lie in April. It is kind of like a big anime that came out about 10 years ago. Nathan's never seen it. I watched it roughly 9-10 years ago, about a year after it launched. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while. Nathan's never seen it. Ready to jump into it?
Hey, Cultured Boys
Hey.
first again.
Yeah. How are you, Nathan? You good?
I am okay.
Quickly before we do the breakdown, how many episodes of this did you watch, Nathan?
I watched it all, and that's why I'm okay. Because I am sad.
Yep, exactly, and that's very much going to be the theme of this episode. So before we
Yeah.
dive any deeper, Nathan, do you want to give the aptly named breakdown of this
Oh god, yep.
series?
Sure. Your Lie in April, or Shigatsu wa Kimi no Uso. Created by Naoshi Arakawa, published in Kodansha April 6th, 2011 to February 6th, 2015, animated by A1 Pictures and aired October 9th, 2014 to March 19th, 2015. Kosei Arima was a genius pianist until his mother's sudden death took away his ability to play. Each day was dull for Kosei, but then he meets a violinist named Kaori Miyazono who has an eccentric playing style. His monotonous life was about to change forever. Thank you, Crunchyroll.
Thank you, Crunchyroll. Right, yeah. I'm probably gonna just say now. There probably will be spoilers in this.
Spoiler warning and maybe trigger warning.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes down in this series.
Yes.
And it is it's like when people talk about Your Lie in April, it is generally like this is one of the saddest animes you can watch. So we're gonna be talking about all of it. Like we're not gonna be beating around the bush in this, so please be aware of that. But Nathan, when how do you feel about this series in general? When I recommend it to you, did you expect this to be this kind of series?
I was not expecting this at all. I didn't know what to expect. Part of the romance, I guess I could expect from you because you do like that kind of stuff. But the trauma I was not expecting
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
I also wasn't expecting to get into it as much as I did, which makes it worse because yeah. Also callback to previous episode, behind the scenes. We're recording this pretty much right after the last one. So you will know from the timeline. I watched this on Friday, got
Oh, yeah.
traumatized. Then I watched Made in Abyss on Saturday, got traumatized. So,
It's been a tough couple days for Nathan.
I don't know how I'm functioning right now because that's two different types of trauma. There's like physical trauma and emotional trauma. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but fuck me, man, my feels, man.
Yeah, it really does. I think that's one thing. This series sets up its characters so well. Like these characters which are going through so much, and then they have like a lot of these side characters which like feed into the series and have a bit like they're not just side characters either. Like
Yeah.
these four main characters, Tsubaki, Arama, Kaori, and Watari. Like all of them feed into the storyline so much. Like it focuses on like these four characters.
It does, but like I find that Tsubaki and Ryoto Watari are like a
Yeah.
little more secondary
Oh,
than
yeah.
Kosei and Kaori, but like the poor Kosei, man. Poor Kosei. Kid cannot catch a break.
It is just beat down after beat
Oh.
after. Like it's like when a series just makes you feel for a character
Yeah.
so much. You know what I mean? Like he's already like quit the piano because of like all this trauma that he has. Then he gets brought back, gets put on stage, and basically at least I think it's like at least 3 times.
Yeah.
He goes through and has a traumatic experience.
It's even worse because it's like the show only shows you like the traumatic parts of his entire life. Because even before that, they're like, oh, he learned piano from his mum. And you're like, oh, okay, that's a wholesome experience. No, because it's traumatic. Because his mother you only ever see him enjoy it once for being taught by his mum, right? There's
Hmm.
only one nice flashback. Every other time is when she was sick and she switched, which spoilers, even though we already gave you spoiler warning, you don't find out until much later, right? Why she switched or that she switched. But all you see before that is her berating him and beating him. Like, no, play the song as it's written. You fucked up. And it's just like, poor Kosei. Oh my god, I
The
felt
thing is,
so
it's
bad.
so heartbreaking in that flashback as well because I think there's like a sequence of like he's winning these awards and like his mum's not there. She's
Yeah,
still in
because she's
hospital while
sick.
he's
Yeah,
performing. And like he comes back saying, "Mum, I got the first place award. Like I got the certificate. Are you proud of me?" And she's like, "Well done," and stuff like that. And then or like barely even a well done with it because
yeah.
she's so sick. He's like, "Yeah, make sure you do that again or something." And it's like so he's constantly doing this for his mum and like the time that she comes to see him perform live, like he does his thing, and then that's when she throws the beats in and stuff like that, and then like that's where that again trauma adds on more and more. Where Kosei's like, you know what, I've had enough.
Oh
That's it.
yeah.
Like like I wish you were dead, and that's the last thing he says to his mum.
Yep.
And then from that's where the whole trauma begins. And that's where like he can't hear the notes in the piano because he's basically brought back to the trauma from his mum. Like obviously everything that's gone down there. And you're like, Jesus, like it's so heartbreaking where obviously you want to see him perform well on the piano and he's just mashing these keys and like he can't hear nothing. Like he's under the ocean, he's on like, in this
Plus,
water,
he's
like
like
unable to
never
hear
been
anything.
able to enjoy it because he's
Mm.
a child prodigy. So everyone's like fucking chatting shit and jealous the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, a robot is because of his mom. Like, he's never ever had a good time.
No.
Ever.
Oh man. But like that's when Cowrie comes in and gets him back into the piano. Bear in mind, it's not an easy road. It's not like,
No.
oh, get back into it and like because he's when he sees Cowrie play, he's like kind of he's mesmerized. He's like, oh, okay, maybe there's so he feels something from her performances
Yeah.
and how she is as a person as well. And then, even when he gets back on the piano to perform, like this it's not just, oh, he gets back into it, it's fine. This is like the whole pretty much the whole season up until probably the last 5 episodes, maybe? Like, he actually gets back into the swing of things and
Yeah.
he's able to perform without worrying and the anxiety's gone. But even then, like, everything that leads up to that point is a struggle for him. Like, everything, like, because he ends up, like, having these moments where he'll start off good, the middle just goes to shit. He will start playing those notes and like he just can't hear the music, and then he pulls it back at the end. By that point, everyone's like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah.
Like it's like a whole roller coaster of experiences, and it's like,
Well, it's because he's working through his trauma, isn't it? It's like, oh, he's having fun until brain kicks in and then intrusive thoughts come in and you're like, oh.
and then it's like, what was it? One of the judges like literally goes and says to him like after one of his performances, like, "This is not the place to air your like."
You're,
Like,
yeah.
was it your
You're
trauma or something, or your past or something
Yeah,
like
it's
that?
this is not the place for you to work out your traumas.
That's it, yeah. It's like it's one of those ones where it's tough love from it because you can imagine like he's watched this performance, he's like this judge is like this is probably shit, but then he's also like you had this guy has potential, but this ain't the place.
Well, I mean, that's also another thing that makes you feel bad for Kosei is like everybody knows him in that world
Yeah,
because he was
yeah.
like a champion. He was like the kid to watch when it comes to being a pianist. So like you can like all these characters crop up that were like, I was mesmerized. I got into piano because of you. And now
Hmm.
look at you. Like everyone's disappointed, everyone's like
Yeah.
whatever, right? So it's just like another layer where you're just like the kid can never catch a break because it's just everything everywhere all the time.
Hmm.
The only time he gets a break is from like certain characters that come in and are like, "Look, I'm actually just here for you. I want
Yeah.
what's best for you." And like, that's like Tsubaki comes in,
Mhm.
Ryota in his own fucking weird middle school playboy way.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like dudes, like kids at the time, like in his own way he cares, but like those characters come in, like and Coyote and stuff like they shine a bit of a light in his life, but it's just like most of the time everyone's just like, "What's wrong with you?"
Oh, bless him so much.
I know,
Like,
right? He's such a meek and mild character as well that
yeah.
you just like, oh,
I think it's like for me, the series really plays on that heartbreak of him and Kaori's relationship as well. Because obviously, like Kose has so much trauma as well, so he's already thinking like, like I'll just like I won't attempt doing this or whatever. I won't go see her in hospital because she probably wants to talk to Watari instead. Or
yeah,
it's like there's so much there that he's like kind of anxious about, and you know for a fact that like, Cowley wants the best for him, regardless. Like, she knows that he's got this talent, and she wants him to just
yeah.
be his best self. But like, he's obviously putting himself down so much because of past experience, trauma, anxiety, everything. And the most heartbreaking thing about this series is that obviously Cowley and Ariba's relationship, it's all based on, yeah, I want to be your accompanist, like I want to be
Yeah.
like we want to play. They only play together on stage once in the whole series as well, which is probably one of the most heartbreaking things about it.
I mean, yeah, it's heartbreaking but to me, it's not as heartbreaking as how it ends, and we won't get there yet. Well, I'm just saying,
Mhm.
to me, that's just even worse.
Mm,
At least, I don't know. I guess the way I'm seeing it is at least they got to play together once, right?
yeah,
Could
yeah,
have
and
could have
that
been
is
worse. They could have gotten the whole thing, they could have built this relationship, and they could have never played ever. At least he got to play the one time, right? But now that you make me think about it, it's just another thing to add to the list to make it worse for him is that, she becomes his, like, muse, his reason for doing music again, and yet they only ever played once.
Yeah.
Kosei!
It's sad. It's sad, bro. It's sad. Like let's talk about the series as like in terms of visually as well, sound wise, like everything about that, mate, is so going back to it, like this is again 10-year-old series
For
at this point.
2014,
It is
it
clean.
looks
That
really
is
good.
it's really freaking clean series. The animation, just like it feels like theatrical. It feels like you should be this is like a movie style quality anime thing.
Yeah,
Like,
honestly, I was really surprised. Like, had I not done the research, obviously,
mhm,
I would have been like, "Yo, when was this made? Like, is this new-ish? Because like this is really good. It is very clean. Like, it looks really good. It just threw me off because like that isn't like you said. It's just a normal anime, but
mhm.
it's like quality of like anime film.
They do like so well to like do kind of like symbolism for it as well. Like everything they cut, like all the monologues that go on. There's so many of these other frames going on, like the constant like showing of like this cat that turns up and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Like there's all those kind of things, and like even when they're playing the piano, it's like you could easily just be like, oh, here's the notes and have an amazing score to it. But all of the animation that comes through, like just showing like how the music is reaching the audience
yeah.
like in certain ways, like with like whether it be like cherry blossoms or something, or whether it is those like golden balls of light just reaching everyone. Everyone's like, "Whoa, what
Hell,
is
or
this?"
even when he's experiencing a breakdown and it gets all kind of swirly and
Hmm.
distorted, and then it's like, oh, I'm under the water, I'm under the ocean, I can't hear anything. Like even that is just kind of like you didn't have to go so hard, but they did, and I
They
appreciate it.
really did, yeah. Yeah, it just like it goes to credit to the studio for this kind of thing. Like a series that again is solely focused on like the relationships and like music and everything around it. Like it just the visualization of it just tells like it just adds to the story even more and makes it even more heartbreaking at
Yeah.
points. Like it's not just the story which is heartbreaking, it's also the mad visuals that come through with it, like everything about it. Like
Yo, there is one thing I do want to talk about
mhm.
because I was it threw me off because I watched the dub
Yeah.
and Tsubaki is a Agretsuko. That's Agretsuko's voice actor.
I
And so the whole time I'm like, Tsubaki's in it a lot.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
anytime Tsubaki speaks, it's weird because Tsubaki is a very high energy, positive character,
Yeah.
but I associate this voice with a different series where is a very low energy, pessimistic character. So it was kind of like so confusing because I'm like, does Agretsuko's not like that? But
I didn't even pick up on that yet. I didn't realize that the same
I
VA.
yeah, it's the same VA, and it's because that's a very distinctive voice as
Mhm.
well. So I mean, also as a Fire Emblem fan, if you play Three Houses, that's the same VA for Bernie or Bernadetta.
Ah. Oh.
So yeah, but yeah, it was just like, oh whoa. I feel like I didn't look it up, any of the voice
Mhm.
actors, but
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I recognize Kosei's voice as well from somewhere, but again, I didn't look
Yeah.
it up, so I don't know
Yeah, I'm not.
who.
Again,
And
I haven't looked into any of the VAs.
Ko
Like none of them felt like like when you watch like a Funimation series or something like
yeah.
that. Like there's always like it's Chris Sabat. He's always about
Yeah.
somewhere. He's there. He's there somewhere. He's like even if he might be playing a minor character, he could be like playing like a major one. But like Chris Sabat is in there. He's hidden somewhere in that series, no
It's
matter
funny
where.
you say that because, like, even when you're like a minor character, one did come to mind in a series that I'm like, I didn't even know they did the dub for that.
Yeah.
I will, but like, I'm currently trying to look up the voice cast for
Yeah, yeah.
just to see if I do actually know where I've heard Kosei's voice because it's very. I feel like I've heard it before, but
Let's see. So,
Max
Max.
Mittelman. That sounds
I mean,
familiar.
he's in a. You're gonna love this. He's in a Gretzko
Oh.
as the. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. The other red panda that's in it.
Oh.
In season 1, I think. He's also Konohamaru in
He's
Naruto.
Konohamaru? Oh, whoa.
Yeah, yeah. Trying to recognize his he's in Durarara.
He's also
Uh,
he's young Hashirama Senju in Shippuden.
that's Sabito in Demon Slayer.
He's Saitama. That's probably why.
He's Ritsu in Mob
Yeah,
Psycho.
but I haven't
He,
watched it.
he's oh, okay, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't watch the dub for that, but
Actually, yeah, Saitama. It's like
yeah.
he's
Saitama is
Ryuji. He's Ryuji in Persona 5.
I knew it was actually I'm not kidding. The whole
Yeah,
time I was
that must
watching,
have been it. I
I was
feel
like,
like that
it
would be the one
sounds like
you.
Ryuji, but I'm like, it's like not quite there. But I kept saying to myself, like, it does really sound like it though. At times I could hear it, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm correct.
It's a weird
Bruh.
kind of like it's just so weird that two of the main characters
What?
are both from
Agretsuko and
Agretzko.
Risatsuke.
Yes, that's
Risatsuke, like, oh.
yeah. It's just like that's a level of it,
And
but
Saitama, like, that's crazy.
as well, isn't it? But again, like everything, like I think audio visual wise, like you can see why like people that watch the series, everyone goes crazy for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can see why. Like trauma aside, the story as a whole and the visuals of it are top notch. This is like a such a good anime. And like just like even like I kind of the one thing I knew about Your Lie in April going back to it was the end. That's the only thing I remembered from it was the ending and that it was traumatic.
Oh.
And the story of the whole thing, I kind of remembered loosely about it, but I also kind of like you know, like I think you discussed in the previous episode, like you just watch it to like fill in those gaps that
Yeah.
you've may have forgotten about when you're in your first watch through. It's been again 10 years since I watched this series, and it is just like everything about I immediately felt like I there's a reason why I love this series so much, and nothing's changed from my first watch through for it. I've enjoyed it just as much as my first time there. But do we want to move on to
Yeah.
let's talk
It's oh
about
fuck.
the sad sad
Oh
I'm
god.
I want to talk about the last two episodes in particular as well because I mean, arguably that third one where like Arima like tells Watani
Yeah.
that like he's got feelings for Kaori. He's like, oh, I love her, and it's like, yeah, of course you do. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we have to compete for her, or whatever. And they turn up at a hospital room, and she's there, and like the doctor's surrounding her. It's like, oh my god,
Yep.
get better, get a doctor. And it's that one point where you're like, shit. No matter how far Kosei has come so far, he's just like
You
It looks
know
like he's
it's
gonna be
all coming
set
down.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting the flashbacks of his mum when she was in hospital. Like, he's the last thing he wanted was this to happen again because he knew Kaori was in hospital, and he was like, please don't let this be like what happened to mum. And then
Well, it's like it's worse because like there's that one flashback where he's talking to her in the room and he's like, "You're not gonna leave me, are you?" And you're just like, why?" And you know the thing is, it's already happening. So you
Mhm.
as the viewer know when he asks that question, you know it's gonna happen. You know you know, she's gonna pass and he is gonna get left alone. But it's the fact that you also know that this is happening to him again, and you're like, oh fuck off, man. Like you
Yeah.
don't do this to the kid again. Come on. He just found the light in life again. And
Mhm.
even Tsubaki's like, your eyes are like sparkly again, you know? And
Yeah,
then
yeah, like,
this,
he's
you're
come
just,
so
oh,
far.
oh,
That beat down is and then, like, what was it when, his teacher comes
yeah,
in, like, 'cause, like, Tsubaki's like, "Can you just check on, Kosei? Because 'Cause I'm worried about him." And she's there, like so his teacher bursts through the door, is like, "Come on, get back to practicing piano." And he's there cowering like he was as a little kid. And she tries to drag him to the piano, but he's just all limp.
yeah,
He doesn't even attempt to, like, fight back or anything. It's just, like, dragging a dead body, like, trying to man, like, the last 2 episodes as well, like, everything that what goes down in those episodes is it's, it's bittersweet, I wanna say, because
yeah,
obviously you see Kosei go in there and he doesn't crumble in that performance. He goes in like there's like shakes. It's a little bit shaky at the start when he sits down at the piano and he's like he's basically like I don't know, not in tears, but he's
no,
having a
it's,
breakdown there basically
yeah,
before he's even started. And then he goes in, then he starts playing, and then like he's like because at the same time Kaori's having this operation as well, this surgery, and so it's like she's there with him in spirit, and you just see all these visuals come through, and it's beautiful, and the music's going, and everyone's enthralled by it, and then she like the vision of her just starts fading, basically.
yep,
Even though Kosei has no idea how the surgery's going or whatever, he's playing with Kaori in this vision, and like you just know in that one scene that she's gone, and it is just so freaking powerful.
too powerful because I will tell you this, as I was watching that, I was cursing your name. The whole time I was sitting there like about to bawl, about to cry, and I'm like, why have you done this to me? Fucking
Yeah.
Pepe, why have you done this to me?
See, Nathan, this is the one thing, right? Like 10 years ago, you probably wouldn't have watched anything like this, would you?
No, I wouldn't
No,
have. And
absolutely
even
not.
if I did, I probably would have just sort of sat there like, okay, yeah, it's
Yeah.
sad, but like,
Yeah. I've this is one thing I've had to think about this like probably halfway through watching this series. I was like, you know what? Years and years I've tried to break Nathan down to watching these kind of series. And finally we get in there. I've got him to watch this one out of all of them. And it's like slowly but surely I'm getting him into this like kind of genre of things. And here we are.
I don't know that I should take your recommendations anymore because a lot of them have ended up with me crying at some point, and I don't. I don't know that we should be friends anymore.
It's like out of context, it sounds like completely for the wrong reason. I make
It
Nathan
does,
cry.
right?
I just want to.
But
It's like this, and like I think this kind of goes back to our episode we recorded way back, which is the Slice of Life
yeah,
series. And I recommended two series to you, or I
yeah,
recommended one, which was Kotaro Lives Alone.
and that made me cry.
And that was, I think, that was the first breakthrough I had with it. I was like, this guy, if he likes this, then it shows that he can actually get into some of the other ones. And it's like since then, just dropping these kind of other series, and then this one. This is the other series I was talking about loads, or like I think like praised highly in that episode. Your Line April was literally up there as like freaking one of my favorite kind of these series. I'll tell you honestly though, like when it came down to that last episode as well, when my first watch through, I was like, oh my god, I was like nearly in tears watching this. This is so emotional. But the second watch through, I got to the final episode, and I was like, I don't really think this is as emotional as I remember it being. I thought this is a lot more, and then it got to Cowrie's letter,
Oh, okay.
and that's when I was like, no, okay, this is emotional. This is like I was wrong in that, like because I was emotional about the piano, like the
Yeah.
whole thing. It looked great, and I was like, this is an emotional thing. But then it's Cowley's letter, which I was like, okay, no, this is getting to me. I've got the lump in my throat now. This is
I'm
like,
glad though, and this is just a stupid little point, like a personal thing.
hmm
When you don't know, you're like, why is it called Your Lie in April? I won't
hmm
spoil it because I feel like that's important, but it will get explained. That's as much as I'll spoil. It does get explained. You'll get it.
yeah, yeah,
You will get it.
hmm
But yeah, the letter, man. The letter when it was being like narrated actually
hmm
didn't make me as sad or
okay,
tearful. I was actually kind of like, I don't know. I felt a bit of relief. It was almost like some closure as well.
it
And
does
I
that.
was like, okay, it sucks for Kosei. Don't get me wrong, but it was it was weird because even as someone who was sitting there watching it, I was like, it's nice to hear her voice again. You know, it's just
Yeah.
see, it's nice. She cared. She cared. And then she like tells you everything. You learn the truth of everything, and it's like, oh, okay.
hmm
It's nice. It's nice. Like he finally
hmm
caught a break in a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Like I thought it
hmm
was quite nice. It didn't get me as much as like, the other times,
hmm
like especially when he was like remembering his mom and
hmm
like, oh, I wish you were dead because I'm like been there myself. It's just like, ah, fuck, like it lives
hmm
with you. And like
mm
to see other parts, like, the operation, he doesn't know he's given the best performance he's ever given, but she's also passing away. Like I almost lost it when it like went to just him talking to her parents like at the
Oh, mate,
funeral because
yeah.
I was just like, oh fuck. I don't know what it was. I think it's because he gets introduced to her parents earlier on in the series, and they're
Yeah.
fans of his. They fucking love him, and it's like just I don't know. At that moment, I was like, oh man, I just can't. This is too much.
It's like there's certain bits where it feels really heartbreaking when you find out more about her condition. Because like there's a second time where they're supposed to play together at the recital.
Yeah.
And she like you find that they go to the hospital afterwards, like, oh, where were you? She's like, oh, I hit my head. Whoops. That. But then in the flashback, you get further down the line, it's like you find out that she lost her balance and then she can't get up. And it's like
Yep.
there's so many like even the bit where she's in the hospital, where she's just walking down the hallway after she's just messaged Arima about oh, can you get me some of these desserts? And then she's
Yep.
like, yeah, walking down the hall, and then she just collapses, and she's like, oh, okay, I just got to get up, and she can't
And her
get up,
legs don't work
and
anymore.
is and that is just like one of those ones I was like, no, like it's so fucking sad.
It really is. Like it's just
Yeah,
I feel like the worst thing is it feels like even though Coyote is the shining light, she never catches a break really either. Her and Kosei like relate to each other because they're both suffering from trauma.
Hmm.
And like the only person I feel like that I didn't care about at all really the whole time was Watari because I'm just like, yeah, he's just
As
there.
a character, I mean, in terms of depth, he doesn't have as much compared to the other three. Like this is what like like with Tsubaki, like you had her whole backstory
Yeah.
with Arya. So you had that whole thing that goes on throughout the whole series. This isn't like it's her first half of the series thing. Like it is constant. And Ratari's there and kind of serves as this kind of like it in some ways it's Arima's best friend, but it's also like the whole constant, oh, hey, friend A. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like you're just the third wheel kind of thing. And that's it's what stops Arima getting closer to Kaori in some way. So it serves it's like his character kind of serves purpose,
The
but
only time I cared about Watari was that one moment where he breaks. He loses the big game, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And then like you see this other side of him. And it's only momentary. He goes off to like
Mhm.
the toilet or something and he has himself a little cry because he's putting on this facade for everybody that he's like this big hot shot and he knows a lot is riding on his shoulders. That was the only time I cared because I was like, oh, whoa, like
Yeah.
he's not just this one dimensional like big head. He actually is like a character, a person character with emotions. But like after that, they just sort of give it all up, and I'm like, okay, well, why even bother showing me that then?
It's like you said, so this doesn't feel like a whole one-dimensional character through the whole series, but it's also like you're right though. It could have been carried on throughout a bit more. I could have said like again, it's not something that I feel is too essential, but it would have been nicer. I know what you mean, like to see a bit, considering he's one of the main four characters in it.
He's in it enough that like it just feels a bit out of place. Because even Tsubaki goes through some stuff. It's not as major as Kosei, and it's not as major as Koyori, but like she's still going through emotions. Like she doesn't
Mm,
know how she feels about Kosei versus the other guy, the other baseball
mhm.
guy. But you know what I mean? Like she's also going through emotions and like whilst I also didn't care as much for Tsubaki's storyline,
Okay, yeah.
at least she had a like something, right?
Mm,
She had something that made her one of the important characters. Like
mhm.
Watari is just kind of like a story device, it feels like.
I completely agree with that. I think you even get more of a story from other side characters like Kosei's rivals, for example.
Yeah.
Like they have some fantastic backstory telling with them. Even what's his face's little sister
Yeah.
as well. Like I can't remember the name of the guy right now, but
I don't remember
like
either. And there's a whole
yeah,
bit about
it's a whole art like basic story plot of those few
well, there is, but
characters.
there's even a whole bit right after Kosei and his little sister do a duet on the piano, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, hey, you're this," and he's like, "This is my name,
Yeah.
actually."
Yeah.
And even then, I've forgotten.
Yeah, it's like those characters get fleshed out really well considering. And like even though they are like those secondary, like even more secondary than like I don't know Ratterly and stuff. Like they feel like they have more depth to them than Watari does in
Yeah,
some ways. But again, it doesn't like as a whole, as a series as a whole, I still don't think Wateri's lack of, in the nicest way possible, lack of depth affects it too much because I think, like, considering you got those other three big players in terms of Kaori, Arima, and Tsubaki, like those three carry that series for a lot of it as well.
yeah. I was just thinking that he doesn't detract from anything, but that's also because
No,
he's in it just enough to play his role to help progress the story that like you sort of don't really notice
hmm
that he's not actually doing a whole lot.
Yeah. He is just like a hurdle in some ways, but in the nicest way as
Or
well.
maybe it's because of the way the character's written that you also don't pay attention too much because it's just him.
Hmm.
He's a kid who goes out with a lot of girls.
Yeah.
He's the big man on campus. Like all the girls want to be with him. I think that's it. Maybe that's also why I'm kind of like I don't care. It's just
Hmm.
the archetype of that character. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Eh,
Hmm.
he
Yeah.
ain't doing nothing that important.
There's as a whole, man, I'm just glad I rewatched this series to be honest. Like, and it's probably like roughly around the same time I watched this series, like 9 years ago as well. Like, I think I watched this just after I came back from Japan.
Oh, okay.
The first time round, like I just like decided to watch this series, and it's like, oh, this is cool. And I gotta give a shout out to that opening as well.
Oh my
Like,
god, when that played, I was like, "This sounds familiar. Why does
yeah,
that sound familiar?" And then I was like, "Right, that's
yeah,
because it's on the playlist. Of course it's on the
yeah,
playlist. This is how this keeps happening. You
yeah,
recommend me an anime or someone recommends me an anime. I go off and watch it and I'm like, "I've heard this song before. Why have
yeah,
I heard this song before?" And I'm like, "Oh, so that's what that fucking
yeah. That
song
Cultured
is
Boys
like."
playlist is a wealth of anime openings. I'll tell you that.
It literally
But like,
is. Oh my
I,
god.
fa- I found out that song way before I watched Your Lie in April. Like it was one of those ones where uh, even though I knew the song, I was quite surprised when I first put the anime on and it started playing. I was like, I didn't know this was an anime opening.
Oh,
What makes me
man.
laugh even more is that in in the was the first couple of episodes, I think it's where Arima's just listening to music on his phone. So back he's like, "Hey, oh, this is that new song from Goose House. Yeah, this is so," and it comes up like quite a fair bit in that
Yeah.
first couple episodes. It's is it like as a fan of the song before I watched this, I was like, they're referencing this a lot, Jesus.
It's a good song. It's a good song.
It is a really freaking good
Again,
song,
it's
man. Like,
I'm now find I can now put animes to these openings or endings.
I just,
Uh,
I'm just gonna recommend Nathan animes that I've got from openings on my on this playlist that we
yeah,
have together.
I'll get through them and I'll have that experience every time. Like,
Yeah.
what is that? Why do I know that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, wicked. Oh, well, cool, cool, cool,
to,
cool.
to go off on a tangent slightly, one of my favorite anime openings of all time, is from an anime called Yowamushi Pedal. It's it's called Yowamushi no Hono. And no word of a lie, last week when we were discussing, oh, maybe we should watch some other
Yeah, you
animes. What
did.
do you think? And I was like, hey, maybe we should watch Yowamushi Pedal. That's a good one. No, with no other intention, the fact that I may have wanted to just listen to this opening again.
You
But,
could just play it on you could just play
but
it on the
also
playlist.
I do also really like Yowamushi Pedal as a series, by the way. It is a very good series.
I yeah,
Yeah,
I've
hard to watch right now because the first season isn't out anywhere. It's all later series. One day, make it around to it though. One day.
maybe.
Yeah,
We'll see.
yeah.
But
Uh, but yeah, is there anything else you wanted to say about this, Nathan? The series.
I just want to say I highly recommend this. It's again, it does go through some darker themes. So it's not for
Hmm.
everybody, and you might get triggered watching it. So be warned. But honestly, it was a very good watch. I found myself, even though doing the typical putting it on in the background whilst I worked on stuff, I still did find myself paying attention more often than not. It's just a really good anime. Like, I highly recommend this. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I completely agree. Like it's going back to that like first time I watched it and watching it now again, as I said before, nothing's changed my two watch throughs of it. I feel like everything's just it still holds up so well, and like animation and its great music, the storytelling, the characters, everything like feels so well put together. So like again, like if you made it this far and haven't watched this series, I mean, good luck to you. But like if you ever feel like, oh, I should watch this series again, I'd 100% recommend it. It's a great series to watch. But yeah, let us know what you thought of Your Lie in April in the comments below. We'd love to hear all your comments, all your theories. And yeah, well, thank you for listening. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button for future Cultured Boys videos. Click the links in our description. We have our links to our podcast and our X there. And we'll catch you next time for another Cultured Boys episode. Bye bye.
Bye.